And we're back.
Yay!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody!
It is so exciting to start this year. It has been just an incredible year, definitely business-wise. I won't go to the personal side because sometimes things happen when in your personal life, like having medical issues and whatnot, and things you have to get through. But man, I don't know how it is in your business, but man, my company never missed a beat.
No.
It has been it's been incredible. We've got an incredible year coming up. We're going to be talking about how to navigate this chip crisis. That is really the big topic that people have been talking about. And in our company, for our buyer's agent program at iAuto Agent, people are coming to us left and right wanting to, get help buying a vehicle. And it is 1,000 times harder to buy a vehicle in this day and age, even since last year. To buy a vehicle is so hard. And we're going to talk about our predictions of when is this thing going to end? And we're going to talk about how to navigate through buying a new car, buying a used car. And are you ready to do this, Mr. David Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAuto Agent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
Boom.
Booyah!
Back. I am Jay Grossman. I am the CEO and founder of iAuto Agent, and we are real estate agents for cars. And I would like to welcome you to the Auto Authorities podcast. And this is my co-host, Mr.
David Marks with Quality Auto STL, home of trusted services with no surprises.
This is our first episode coming into the new year, and we have a big one and lots of stuff to talk about. And I think that whether you're in the market for a car or you're not in the market for a car, I think you're going to get some really valuable information today. But before we get going, I would like to thank our sponsors, iAutoAgent.com and Quality Auto STL, trusted services with no surprises. Thank you. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button in the right corner, as well as the notifications button to get notified when you are ready to watch more and more of the Auto Authorities podcast. And then we also have a Facebook group called the Auto Authorities Podcast Facebook group. And you can watch us live on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Or, of course, we are broadcast through 19 different channels, such as iTunes and Pandora and all those things. But click subscribe. Let us know. Join the podcast. We want you here. And we appreciate all the amazing comments that we've received throughout the year. And we're going on almost 1 year of
no way.
And we have not missed a beat, I'll tell you.
No.
And if you're just tuning in, and this is the first time you're tuning in, we have a special gift for you. If you take out your phone and you text the word CAR, C-A-R, to 57838. That's text the word CAR to 57838. You can get our free ebook on how to buy a car without the nonsense. And we're going to be talking about some things today that even the book won't tell you.
No, you want to find the no-nonsense way to deal with this. This is the episode for you. That's for damn sure.
Oh, man, I don't even know where to start.
I mean, well, Jay, how long do you – I have my predictions on how long I think this lasts me. I read the Wall Street Journal. I follow LinkedIn. I follow those major national news channels so I can keep up to date with this. So I have my own opinions, but I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Well, I think it's important to let everybody know where this all started. This started, rewind to 2020. And this is when the automotive manufacturers actually shut down because they told people when COVID hit that they couldn't come out of their houses and everybody's contagious and the world was going to end. So what happened was the manufacturers actually stopped production completely. And when the manufacturers of the chips, and the chips are used for many of the electronics and safety features of the vehicles, they said, hey, we don't need any more chips. Everybody's out of business. So the manufacturers of the chips, they ran over to the smartphone industry. They ran over to all the way to microwaves and TVs, laptop computers, because when they told people that they couldn't go to work, they stayed at home. When you stay at home, you need mobile devices. And when you get mobile devices, they require the chips, just like the,
Well, I think too, the auto industry has worked off just in time for decades, and it finally came back to bite them in the ass. I mean, this really proved and showed the vulnerability for how auto manufacturers, they'll have the suppliers manufacture something just in time for it to arrive on the assembly line when it's need to be put on the car, because they don't keep any stock. They don't have a stockpile of chips sitting around. No, they didn't have that. They're, here in the St. Louis metropolitan area, we have a plant, GM plant, and they have their supplier plants on site right there outside the assembly line.
Yeah, it has actually been pretty incredible, because this has not just caused a shortage of chips for the automotive industry. This has caused a shortage of chips for every industry that uses these chips, and it's affecting every single one of us. And the $25,000 or $100,000 question is when is this thing going to end? And nobody really knows, but I'm going to make some predictions based on evidence that I have and my knowledge of the industry. Is that I truly feel that we're still 6 months away from even a break in this. And I'm not saying that it's going to end in 6 months. I'm saying a break. And so some people are coming to iAuto Agent and they're wanting to do our buyer's agent program. And they're like, hey, should I just wait? Well, let me tell you what happens when you wait. I'm sure you've seen this. And if you haven't seen this, you've been living under a rock. The prices are skyrocketing on everything. Food, everything.
We're seeing it with parts.
Everything is going up in price. And when things go up in price, obviously we're in an inflation state. There's a couple things that are going to happen. Number one, if you wait, you will pay more money for the vehicle. That's number one. Number two, and this hasn't even been said yet, interest rates are also on the way up because they're trying to hedge the inflation. So because the interest rates are up, now you're going to be paying more in interest, ultimately costing you more money. It's pretty freaking crazy. So the people that are coming to us for our buyer's agent program, like, listen, if you plan on buying something in the next 4 to 6 months, you should do it right now. And that doesn't even mean that you're going to get a vehicle right now. That just means that you have the opportunity to buy a vehicle. And we're going to talk a little bit about
so with that, Jay, so are people allowed to put like reserve cars? Like I read about the reservations for the 2022 F-150 Lightning, the Mach-E Mustang and those type of vehicles, because I follow that, Rivian and all that. So if somebody just wants an everyday vehicle, let's say if somebody wants a Toyota Camry, we'll just pick on that, for example, and they go to the Toyota dealer, they don't have one. If they put a down payment on one, are they guaranteed one when it shows up? Or how are dealers doing that?
Well, sure, they're guaranteed one when it shows up, but here's the big problem, and this is inside information right now I'm going to share. is the manufacturers are misleading their franchisees. So the dealers will tell you something, but they're only telling you what the manufacturers tell them. And if the manufacturers are not telling them correctly, then you're not going to get the correct information.
I guess a lot of that depends on the relationship with the dealer, with the franchisee and the manufacturer. If they get a really good relationship, they're going to give them the vehicle first. If you've kind of give us a runaround, they're going to pawn them off. They're going to wait.
Yeah. It's really, really.
I can see where this is all about the relationship with the franchisee and whatever OEM they're representing. You want to make sure you pick a dealer that's got a great reputation with the OEM. Otherwise, you're SOL.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting you said that, because when it comes to the dealers to choose from, how do you know which dealers are going to get what? And
well, we have a mutual friend. I'm not going to name his name, but he told me they pay cash for those. So it's a Ford dealer. So you know that Ford's going to support probably their dealers that are paying cash because they're not on the hook. They're not floor planning anything.
Well, yeah, there's so much more that goes into it. There's politics involved.
Oh, I just, it goes back to what we've talked about a lot, Jay. What relationships? Everything, a lot of things we do in life is about relationships.
And it's tough too, and it's almost impossible for the actual consumer to know which dealer has the great relationship with the manufacturer and who's going to get.
This is where you guys can add a ton more value.
Yeah, so we, in our buyer's agent program, what I don't talk about our iAuto Agent buyer's agent program very much, but what we do is we work with the people that run the dealers, the people that run the franchises, and we get down to the bottom of things very quickly, and we can get information for people that the normal human just can't get. And I always say this too, like, I can't even imagine, because it's 1,000 times harder right now to buy a vehicle than it was even last year at this time. I could not imagine just being a normal individual that says, oh, I'd like to go out and buy a new car. Holy cow. You have no idea what you're even walking into. And we have so much information to talk about today. It's probably going to wind up going into a 2-part episode, because we have a lot of
stuff we've talked about isn't in our cliff notes, but it's important to.
Well, yeah. Well, and the other piece too is trying to navigate to figure out what vehicles are available and which vehicles are not available. I will give you a little hint. There are no vehicles available. And I'm going to be giving a lot of tips on how to determine what the availability of a vehicle is. But yeah, it's just, so like, I've got people coming to me and they're like, hey, Jay, I want to get a Kia Telluride. I had somebody yesterday that came to us and like, I want a Hyundai Palisade. I said, okay, you want the 2 most popular vehicles on the face of this earth.
They're still popular?
They are the most popular.
Wow. I didn't know they still were.
Oh my gosh. In fact, this gentleman, he was referred to iAuto Agent, and I talked with him, and he had said, I've called every Hyundai dealer in the country now, and I'm getting nowhere. And I've heard that you can do this and you can do that. And I'm like, listen, there's certain things that we can do, and there's certain things we can't do. But when they are not producing a vehicle, I cannot do anything about that. But what I can do is I can save you a lot of time. And this guy has spent weeks calling every dealer, and he knew all the vehicles were available. I said, I don't think we're going to be a good fit, because you've already spent all your time. The whole idea of this is for us to give you back your time. You're a business owner. You have a family. It's insane. So those 2 vehicles, if you're looking at those vehicles, do not expect to see those anytime soon. And if you do see them, many dealers are also charging an upcharge on these vehicles between $5,000 to $10,000. So not only are you paying the sticker price, but you're also paying an upcharge as well.
Wow.
And frankly, there's one side of me that says, oh, that's highway robbery. But on the other side of me, I understand.
It's the law of economics.
It is the law of economics. And when you're getting 100 vehicles a month or however many they're getting, and now they're getting one vehicle a month, well, they have to make up somehow because they have a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
And if you guys are just joining us, my name is Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of iAuto Agent. And this is Mr. David Marks with Quality Auto STL. And we welcome you to the Auto Authorities podcast. And we are talking about how to navigate this chip shortage right now. And we're going to have probably a two-part episode here. But we're going to be talking about how to navigate the new cars, how to navigate the used cars, and what our prediction is. And if you're just joining us, and you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. So YouTube, please click the subscribe button and share this with your friends and family. I feel like that people could get so much value out of hearing this because this is stuff that we do every single day. There isn't a day that goes by that we don't do this. So we stay on top of all of this. And if you're coming in through Facebook, we have a Facebook group called the Auto Authorities Podcast Group, and just click Join Group and come see us. And we've got a lot of great information to share with you. I'm going to go with a few other vehicles here that you will never be able to touch for a while. One of them is the Ford Bronco.
I want one.
Right. Well, here we have clients right now. The people that ordered one a year ago are now starting to get them now.
Wow.
Right.
I thought that was going to be a big hit for Ford. Just like I thought that was going to be right there with the F-150, and I'm surprised. Wow. There's one on here. This next one, Jay, really, really surprises me.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
That's a Chevy Corvette. I'm surprised that is on this list. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I've always looked at, this is just my opinion, you got every other car, and then you got a Corvette. It's in a class all by itself because of the nostalgic and the history. And, it's kind of like a Ferrari. Ferrari's in its own class. I've always put the Corvette in its own class.
Yep.
So I'm surprised General Motors is having issues with that.
Yeah, well, there was so much demand for the vehicle. And if you order one now, you might get it next year. You may even get it by the end of the year. Who knows? That's the thing is so many, they just don't know until you actually get a build date. So we have a really good story. Somebody came to us looking for a Toyota Tacoma and they wanted to buy a used.
Oh, this was Bobby, right?
No. This wasn't Bobby. This was actually a very, very, very smart person that owns. Well, one of the spouses owns their own business. Other one is a business professional. This was definitely not Bobby. Bobby. Well, we're not going to talk about Bobby right now.
Bobby's not in this episode. I had to bring him up.
Yeah, this person wanted to buy a used Toyota Tacoma. And like a 2015 was still going for $34,000 with 50-something thousand miles on it. And the MSRP of the car that I got them, this Tacoma, and it's going to be here in February, was $40,000 for a 2022.
Wow.
And it had more options on it. What does that tell you? These people that are buying these new cars too, like there are people right now that are specifically buying new cars to flip them and sell them because they are making money on them.
Wow, that's unreal. I've never heard of. Wow. Now, I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Dodge came out with the Hellcat, dealers were charging over MSRP and trying to sell them on eBay. And some of them, if I remember reading, they got in trouble for that. I'm surprised that we're seeing these dealers get away with that in today's world.
Well, it's not the dealers. So it's the consumer.
Well, the consumer, that's fine. Hey, it's the dealers have no say of the consumer, but these dealers that are marking up these cars, because if I remember correctly, when Dodge came out with the Hellcat, that NASCAR edition with a 700 some horsepower, dealers were selling them on eBay for 10,000 and something over sticker and got in trouble for that. If I could be wrong, but that was a few years ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of the manufacturers do have rules as far as where the car can go. Like a lot of the high-end cars, like Lamborghini, if you buy a Lamborghini, you have to sign something saying, number one, you're going to keep it for X amount of time, that you're also not going to send it overseas, because overseas is a whole nother story. There's a huge market overseas, and they are marking these things up.
For Lamborghinis that are manufactured for the U.S. market.
Yeah, I'm talking about anything that's in the United States.
Wow. Well, the U.S. has one of the most lax emission rules out of the major countries compared to Europe, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
they can't buy a Lamborghini in Europe, but they can buy here.
Yeah. There's rules. I mean, Ferrari has rules as well. So Ferrari, you can't. I mean, they really put it where you can't really do anything.
Wow. I mean, it's just something that I thought about. Here's something that I found interesting. So, this was on the Wall Street Journal had an article where Toyota's goal for the month of January was to manufacture 800,000 vehicles worldwide.
Wow. Well, I will say this. I do have some information about Toyota, some inside information, because Toyota is another vehicle that you just really can't get. And every now and then there will be one that pops on the lot, but it'll be gone as fast as you can. And when we start getting into how to navigate buying a new and used vehicle, I'm going to be giving a lot of very good tips on how to really navigate through that and make sure that you're making an educated decision.
Call my auto agent. That's done.
Well, I would love to say that everybody's going to call us. In fact, we're in a huge expansion right now, as far as adding more buyer's agents to our team, because
that's awesome.
It is, because it's something that's needed, and we're bringing in people that we just brought on a gentleman that he's been doing this 25 years. This is stuff that cannot be taught.
Sure. Yeah.
I cannot teach somebody that has never, ever worked in the industry on how to go buy a car, because it's not teachable. You just have to be in the industry for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the repair side. I mean, my knowledge that I have, you can't teach it. It just experience is the best teacher, and that takes time.
It does. And there's other vehicles too, like the Kia Carnival is an absolutely
that's huge. A minivan, isn't it?
It's not a minivan. It's kind of an SUV / minivan. That's kind of what it is. It's not really a minivan. It's not really an SUV. So who
knows what? They're going to make up another segment.
And I mean, they're killing it. They are killing it.
Wow. I mean, I'm a big fan of Hyundai Kias. I have been for a while. I bought my wife a Kia. I think they're right up there with the Toyotas and Hondas.
Yep.
As far as I love them. I'm a big fan of them.
So what I wanted to share with everybody is I have some inside information about Toyota. Is one of my really, really close contacts and one of the people that runs one of the largest dealerships here in St. Louis had mentioned to me they are really, really picking up production starting this month.
Yeah, that's what I read on the Wall Street Journal.
It's so true. And Toyota is one of the most desirable.
Well, they're king worldwide. They were king in the U.S. market last year. I don't know if you saw that. GM was not number one in the U.S. market for the first time in 9 decades.
I believe it. GM.
Toyota was. Now, Toyota will be the first one to say, hey, under normal circumstances, this doesn't happen. However, because of the chip shortage, Toyota was king. They outbeat GM by 125,000 vehicles, if I remember that correctly in that article. But, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unreal. 9 decades, GM's been number one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the thing is GM was one of the ones that made a huge mistake when this chip shortage came out. They did, and Ford did, and that's why they are probably got hit the hardest. Volkswagen is hit really hard too, and that's another vehicle. So we had another buyer's agent situation. This was actually a good story. So
story time.
Story time. Open up the story time book. So this lady, she's CFO of a company. She came to us, and she had a GMC train that she wanted to sell. She didn't like it anymore, and she wanted a Volkswagen Atlas. And I'm like, oh man, there is no way that that's going to happen. But meanwhile, call the person that runs the Volkswagen dealership here in St. Louis, and he's like, I literally just got one today. It hasn't even been, they call it a PDI, a pre.
Yeah, they got to go through the service department before they can sell them.
Right, they just make sure it's a safe vehicle, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, it just got there. I'm like, can you send me pictures? So they sent me pictures. I went to my client. I'm like, I cannot believe this, but we literally have one available right now. She goes, oh, I love it. I'll be there at 5 p.m. So at 5 p.m., I had everything all scheduled. I get a call at 4:50 from the manager, and he goes, hey, Jay, they just sold the Atlas. And I'm like, are you kidding me? My client was just going out there. And when we get into how to navigate a new vehicle, I'm going to tell you some really good tips in our next one. So here's what happened is at 4:50, think of me as like a balloon. I was just completely deflated because I had to call her and tell her that it was sold. But because of the relationship that iAutoAgent.com has with that dealership, and this is where it comes down to relationships and connections, I said, I'm going to tell you this. I spent, I don't know how much time sending vehicles and people to you throughout the year. Figure something out. He calls me back. So I still call my client. I'm like, listen, they sold the vehicle. It wasn't meant to be. I had to let her down in the bad news. And she's like, I understand it's a popular vehicle. Then they call me back and they said, you got the vehicle. I'm like, what? You got the vehicle.
There's just miscommunication on their end is what it sounds like.
No. The person that was looking at the vehicle, so the people that were going to buy the vehicle, they were at the dealer when the manager called. And he pulled the vehicle from them because of the relationship he has with us.
He said he came out there and said, no. This is sold.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He says it's already sold. My client went in. We had her in and out of there in like less than 45 minutes.
Wow.
Because I already had the trade-in, I already had that already taken care of. Like, we just freaking streamline it. And
that's awesome.
I was so happy. She wrote a beautiful review for us online.
Nice.
But when we get into the second part of this, Mr. David Marks, we're going to talk about how to navigate buying that new vehicle. And we're going to talk about the used vehicle market, which I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about, but I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. This has been an incredible episode, and we have so much more to share in this next episode coming up, because we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to get through this. And if you don't want to hire iAutoAgent.com. Oh my goodness. All right. You have anything else to add, Mr. David Marks?
Nah, I think this is a good stopping point. I mean, we got a couple more episodes out of this, I can see.
Oh man. I cannot wait. But I want to thank everybody for joining us with the Auto Authorities podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below. We respond to all of our comments. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everybody.